Hey everybody, thanks for being here. This is Joyce at Medusa Was Framed. Also, Morgan A Wing is my woo-woo channel. And I'm here today for some more cemetery explorations. So over the Christmas weekend, I visited my friend Sheena in Brevard County, the county you may know as the Space Coast, the home of NASA, on Merritt Island. But do you think of Brevard County before it was a space coast? People that live there might. Most people don't. But how things were when they were simpler, that's kind of my jam. On one day, over a span of 8 hours, Sheena and I visited 7 cemeteries, from the very top of Brevard County back to her home, which is near but not at the bottom. Now, I edited all the footage, and I had well over 2 hours of edited footage. So I decide to break this up into pieces. What you're going to see today is part 1. We're starting with the LaGrange Mims Cemetery that sits in the city of Mims. It was established in 1869 on the old U.S. State Road 1 at 1575 Old Dixie Highway. There are 2,482 interments. This is the oldest cemetery on the east coast of Florida. I'm going to say that again. This is the oldest cemetery on the east coast of Florida. I did not know that. Here lay the founders of 2 cities, Mims, in which city this sits, and Titusville. Titus for the adjacent city of Titusville. Colonel Titus is buried here. There are 2 placards on the property, one for the church and one for the cemetery. Sheena and I limited our walking to the Pioneer area. 2,400 burials is just too much to walk about on a day when we were set to visit so many. We did a drive around. It was Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve that we did this. And then we parked and we walked through the Pioneer area. The church was founded by Tom Johnson Cocksure in 1869. This was the first organized Protestant church on the east coast of Florida between New Smyrna Beach and Key West. I'll say that again. This was the first organized Protestant church on the east coast of Florida between New Smyrna Beach, which some of you may know as both the shark bite capital of the world, but also from at least 2 videos that I have made about the colonization of New Smyrna Beach and Smyrna, the plantation that was a complete nightmare that brought the Minorcan population to the region, the folks that after 2 years of inhumane treatment, truly inhumane treatment, abandoned the Turnbull plantation and walked the 70 some miles up to St. Augustine. Anyway, Tom donated land for a cemetery and built a small log structure located on what is the northern part of the LaGrange Cemetery. It was used as a public meeting place, church, and the first public school in Brevard County. I'm just telling you, neither Sheena nor I had any idea this church was so important. I just wanted to go to the top of the county and start. And of course, I'm only interested in old cemeteries. Okay. In 1872, a two-story structure of vertical logs was built on the present site. The first floor was used as a church, the second floor for public meetings and a schoolhouse. In 1893, the second story was renovated. A bay window was added between the two front doors, and horizontal bars were placed over the vertical logs, encompassing the old structure within the walls. Depicted on one of the 8 memorial windows are the names of those who built the church: J. N. Feaster, J. L. C. Feaster, Tom J. Cockshut, W. S. Norwood, another name you would be starting to recognize if you were watching my videos, B. S. Mims, as in the city this sits in, Mims, R. Singleton, W. P. Day. The first ordained pastor was W. N. Chaudwan from 1871 to 1904. Several other congregations were formed from this small church that included the First Presbyterian of Titusville, the Mims Methodist Church, and Greater St. James Missionary Baptist Church of Mims. This church is considered part of the Carpenter Gothic style, or River Church, as you may know from my video about Richard Upjohn, the man who started the Architectural Institute of America and changed architecture and architects in America forever. Now, the LaGrange Cemetery marker reads as such. Established in 1869, this is the oldest cemetery on Florida's lower East Coast. The oldest portion is located in the front outer section, evidenced by the southeasterly positioning of the tombstones. Tom Jackson Cockshut, 1841 to 1917, who arrived here in 1868 and made barrels nearby, donated this parcel to be used, in part, as a community cemetery. In 1869, he organized the first Protestant church on the East Coast between New Smyrna and Key West. The community built a small log structure here to serve as the first public meeting house and schoolhouse in the area, as well as church. It was located on what is now the north portion of LaGrange Cemetery. LaGrange Community Church, built 1872, stands just south of this parcel. The earliest marked grave is that of Andrew Fenster, a War of 1812 veteran who settled here in 1865, died 1869, and is buried in a large family plot. Gravestones of many pioneer families include Tom J. Cockshut, founder of the church, Andrew Froscher, undertaker, Dr. B. R. Wilson, physician, William S. Norwood, who operated the overland mail service, Mims, for whom the city of Mims was named, and Colonel Henry T. Titus, who lived from 1823 to 1881, the founder of Titusville. Our next cemetery took us south and east onto Merritt Island to St. Luke's Episcopal Church and Graveyard. Located at 5556 Tropical Trail, this pioneer cemetery holds 352 burials. This area was known as Courtney when settled originally. The original church was erected in 1882, also noted as the Carpenter Gothic River Church style of Reset architect Richard Upjohn. In 1978, a new church was built adjacent to the old church, which is now used for weddings and funerals. The cemetery is still active. The historical marker reads, St. Luke's Episcopal Church of Courtney was founded by the Porcher, LaRoche, Sams, and other families that settled in North Merritt Island. After leaving Charleston, South Carolina area in 1875 due to the loss of their homes and plantations during the Civil War. The first services were held in 1879 in a store building on the banks of the Indian River. In 1888, Edward Porcher donated property for the site of St. Luke's Episcopal Church. Of this built with a $600 donation from Lucy Boardman of New Haven, Connecticut, along with the donated labor of parish volunteers. This Florida Gothic style, common architecture for Episcopal churches of that time, was a board and batten wooden 600-foot structure built of locally milled, hand-planed island pine and cypress with a steep gabled roof and a square bell tower. During the early years, the church did not have a vicar. Ministers from the churches in Cocoa and Titusville traveled by boat to hold monthly services, while members led the weekly services. The chapel is still used for midweek and special services. The church is surrounded on 3 sides by the historic cemetery. The church was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1990.